Medfield TV presents Meet the Candidates, interviews with our citizens running for local offices. This series is being brought to you by the joint efforts of Carol Mayer, Town Clerk, Kathleen Emerson, Medfield High School Social Studies Chair, as well as the staff of Medfield TV. I'm Matthias Epstein from Medfield High School, and I will be posing questions to the candidate. She will have 2 minutes to respond to each question, and at the end of the questioning period, the candidate will have 2 additional minutes to address the TV audience. Today, we are interviewing MARYANNE Sullivan. She is an incumbent running for the office of school committee. This position is for a 3-year term. There is 1 position open, and she has 1 opponent. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Your first question is, what does the school committee do?
So the school committee has a number of jobs that we do. The first and foremost is educational goals, forming those and making sure our district policies with regard to education are up to date according to the law and the policies with the Department of Education. That's probably the overall encompassing job that we have. Probably the most visible job that we have is budget and financing. We have input and we form a budget for those educational goals, curriculum, actually everything that goes into our school budget, which is an enormous part of the overall town budget. Mm-hmm. So that we have input in that, and then we finalize our budget, which is then presented to at town meeting for final approval by the voters. Okay, great. And how long have you been a school committee member? So I have been a school committee member for 6 years. I have served for 2 terms. Mm-hmm. I've been the chairperson for the last 2 years, but prior to that, I did a lot in the schools, starting when my oldest started. For the last 12 years, I've been involved in the schools. Oh, wow. And what do you like about your position? I love it for reasons like this. We have such interaction with the students, with teachers. There are so many things. This is one of those questions that would probably take a long time to answer if we had a long time, but there are a number of things I love. I love working in education with and seeing all of the innovation, all the amazing things that students and teachers are doing. You know, we're extremely lucky and blessed in this district that we have very talented people, not only in our administration, but teachers and students who are doing amazing things. So that is continually inspirational for me. Mm-hmm. It's one of my highest priorities is education, and especially building a strong educational system for children. And although they don't like to hear it, anyone under 18 is still a child, but you know, young adults, that is, I love seeing all the innovation. I love seeing what the students are doing, how teachers are advancing education in our district. I love the people that I work with on the board. It's a collaborative group. Everyone brings a different piece to the board in the school committee, and it's also intellectually challenging for me, working with different town committees, you know, the Warrant Committee, the Selectmen, so those are just a few of the things that I love about it. Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. And why are you running again? I'm running because some of the aforementioned reasons that I love what I do. I also believe in the mission of these schools, and I believe that you need dedicated volunteers who have a vision for the district, K through 12. Mm-hmm. I think there are a lot of issues facing the Medfield public schools as we move forward. You know, we've done an amazing job. We're a high-achieving district, but we're not without our challenges, and I'd like to be, I think I have been, through my years here in Medfield, a positive influence on some of those achievements. I'd like to continue to be a positive voice of collaboration and work in the district. There are a number of things that I'd like to see in my next term. We've started with our strategic plan. That plan goes through 2021, which would be the end of my next term. So I'd love to see some of the things that we've started, and we're on such great pathways with that plan and some of those core values that we have as a district, and as all the stakeholders in the district have relayed to us. So I'd like to see some of those things continue. You know, we've done a great job with our social emotional learning. That's a huge piece that is close to my heart that I'd like to see, you know, really on a strong pathway. I think we've started on a great road, and I'd like to continue that. We also have the Dale Street project coming up that I would love to see. I think it would be an asset for our town, our students, you know, all the residents of Medfield. So that's another piece that I'd like to see moving forward.
And what past experience do you have that qualifies you for this job?
So I started off as a prosecutor, and then I was a special assistant attorney general. And my main focus as a special assistant attorney general was advocating for the rights of women and children. It's something that I have dedicated my early life before kids, and then upon moving to Medfield, I started volunteering in the schools right away with the CSAs, which are now the PTOs. I've been on site councils, the superintendent advisory councils. You know, so I've contributed to educational school improvement plans. I believe I have a vision for the entire district after having been involved so closely in so many aspects of the district, from, you know, elementary through middle school, through high school. So I believe I have a lot to offer. It's funny in an interview like this because you have to kind of pump yourself up, but I think, you know, while trying to remain humble, I have contributed a great deal to the district, and I think that breadth of experience and vision across the district is very helpful moving forward in Medfield.
What do you plan on doing going forward to improve your position?
So I think that we've done a lot since my time on the board, you know, and I also want to give credit to people that came before us. I sat on a board, you know, that we've had, the board has changed since I've been on the board, and the people that came before us have contributed extensively as well to Medfield as a district. So we're constantly evaluating how we can do things better. I think we have improved our communication, our website, some of the transparency so that people can see what we do. Our meetings are now, you know, they're televised, they're on YouTube, all those amazing things. Our minutes are on our website. We've newly instituted office hours, so a couple of us sit in different sites around town, whether it's the library. We started the first one at Blake Middle School. We're talking about the Council on Aging, to be able to have people come in a more informal setting to speak with us and, you know, learn more about what we do, and if they have questions for us or anything that kind of falls under our purview. We're hoping to improve that aspect of the school committee. But yeah, I'm really proud of the work that we do. So
yeah, that's great. Does the school committee work on their own, or do you collaborate with other town officials?
So that's really two parts. There are certain pieces that we do work on our own, as far as, you know, even advocacy or curriculum changes that are proposed. So some of those things we work within. We work within the school committee ourselves, and we have a lot of subcommittees. I think that people don't always realize what you see on a Monday night isn't just what the school committee does. You know, we serve on multiple subcommittees, whether it's collective bargaining, contracts. We serve on the budget subcommittees, policy subcommittees, but we also collaborate extensively with other town bodies. So the Warren Committee, the Selectmen, I think Medfield runs well because of the dedication of numerous volunteers in town. Whether it's, you know, the coalition, the PTOs, there is extensive cooperation and collaboration. I think that when you've spent time in a district and you are someone who's seen as collaborative and honest and direct, I think that that goes a long way working with other committees in town. I think that's one of my strengths, is that I have been involved for so long, so a lot of these other people that are working in town government, I have a good relationship with them, so it works well. So yeah, we do some on our own, obviously, and then there's a lot of collaboration with the town departments.
Right, okay. What does the school committee do when there are large, unexpected expenses like Dale Street School?
So that's always a great question. I think the Dale Street School, although it's a large expense, it's certainly not unexpected or unanticipated. We have been filing what's called a statement of interest to get into the MSBA feasibility study to build a new Dale Street project. It's a group that it's a governmental group that will reimburse you money for your school building projects. So we've been filing that since I've been on the board, 6 years, to get into that because we're in such desperate need of a new Dale Street facility. So there has been a lot of background planning and preparation to be involved in that. And I think that it goes back to one of the other questions, that they aren't unexpected expenses, but I think that being honest, being direct, being someone who's been a positive contributor to the schools makes a big difference when something like Dale Street is proposed and you're looking forward to the future for our kids. So it's been a long time in the making, but definitely very, very necessary. So. Yeah.
And what is your stance on class size, and what plans do you have to keep the class size optimized for learning?
So another great question, because that's been a hot button question or issue this year. In particular, because we had over 100 students move into the district last summer. So just in the summer months alone, there were 100 elementary school kids move into our district, which is a large, unexpected number. And usually, NESIC does a great job with giving us our projected student enrollment. This year was a bit of an aberration in that it was very unexpected to get 100 children in the summer. So what we have done to correct that, we added aides in some of the classrooms this year to reduce the adult to student ratio. And in our budget next year, we have included additional teachers for those grades, because the class sizes are large in some of those, especially the elementary schools. So in our new budget, which has not been finalized yet because the entire committee hasn't voted on it yet, we have added a teacher in first grade, 2 in second grade, 1 in third grade. We're looking at either 1 or 2 teachers in the fourth and fifth grade as well. And again, it all comes down to budget. So that's what we're looking at as we go through this budget season and the budget process before we finalize that. So we're addressing the class size issue, because class size, the optimal class size is somewhere in that 18 to 21, 22 students. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's great. What happens when town organizations disagree?
Well, and that definitely happens. I mean, even within our committee, although people may not always see it, I think sometimes disagreement for people can look like fighting, and that's not, our board is a very respectful, collaborative committee, as are most of I think all the other committees in town. And although we may disagree on things at times, I think we're respectful in getting to an agreeable solution to some of the issues. And they are usually around budgetary issues. Again, I think it goes back to one of the other questions, that when you are someone who's developed a relationship and a reputable relationship in the town with people, I think that there's a certain respect level, and when you bring a positive, healthy conversation, supported with your needs and what the school needs, that I think that it's usually, although there may be disagreements and they aren't always resolved, there's a lot of collaboration involved with the different committees, but they're not always solved, just like any other issue that anyone has. But yeah, it's a great town to volunteer in and to be a part of. Yeah, yeah.
And what should the voters know about you?
I think one of the main things that I think the voters should know about me is that I think that I have spent a long time in the district developing relationship with various stakeholders. You know, I think that I'm also very aware that while I have an obligation to the students, the teachers, the families in our district, I'm also very aware that here in Medfield in particular, we're not like some of these other towns like a Newton or a Brookline or Westwood, where our schools are funded off of a commercial tax base. Our schools are funded off of the backs of taxpayers and residential property taxes. So I've always been aware of that fact, and despite knowing that, you know, high achievement in schools and educating all students to their full potential is of utmost importance to me and to the rest of the school committee, I think that I've done a great job, and the school committee has done a great job of being very aware that we are not doing this in isolation, and that taxpayers have been enormously supportive of our work and what we do and the importance of educating young minds, you know, I think for the future, the future amazing artists, amazing Dan Rathers that are going to emerge from our schools. So I think that the town recognizes that, and I think they respect someone who has been dedicated and has a vision for the future for our kids and our schools. So I think that's probably something I'd want people to know.
Yeah, yeah, great. And what other hobbies or talents do you have besides town government?
So many. Well, what are my hobbies? I love spending time with my family. Obviously, that's why we moved here, because Medfield is such a family town. And I love anything outside with my dogs. I have 2 golden retrievers. We run through all the trails in Medfield, the woods. Love to ski. Love to spend time at the beach, on the Cape. I also run my own interior decorating business, so I have a lot of other interests. I like to kind of keep my creative side on the side and tap into that. Which also helps in a number of things too, because I'm constantly working with budgets and with people's homes and businesses, and working within their budgets. So I think, although it helps my creative side and foster that side of my personality, it also helps with the business side of my personality. But yeah, I balance it all with a good run with my dogs. That's what I do.
Okay, and lastly, would you please take a few moments to speak to the audience?
So I just want to say that I'm asking for your vote on March 26th. I believe I'm the most qualified and best candidate for Medfield. I think that we face, although we're an amazing district and we've had such success in our district for a long time, we are not without our challenges moving forward. I'd like to be a continued positive presence in the governance of the town, especially with regards to the Medfield public school system. It has been something that has been near and dear to my heart since my oldest daughter started preschool, when I started volunteering in Medfield. I think that I have a unique perspective in that I've served on almost every board within the school system that you can serve on. So I feel like I have a very unique perspective about what makes Medfield Medfield, which I think is an important distinction with other candidates that may be running. So I think that that is something that is strikingly different, and it's important. I think I have a very positive, proven track record here in Medfield. I'm proud of our accomplishments and how we've positively impacted the schools. I think that there's more work to be done to positively impact the schools and not only our teachers, but our students. So I think we have an amazing culture here in Medfield, and I look forward to being part of that for the next 3 years.
I wish to thank the candidate for participating in this interview. Please remember that democracy is not a spectator sport. Please vote at the Center on Icehouse Road on Monday, March 26th from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
So the school committee has a number of jobs that we do. The first and foremost is educational goals, forming those and making sure our district policies with regard to education are up to date according to the law and the policies with the Department of Education. That's probably the overall encompassing job that we have. Probably the most visible job that we have is budget and financing. We have